your homework for tonight is going to be the finish the type narrative draft. This is always kind of backward on here. I don't need to fix that. Except what I like to do is keep the fact that you do have some other homework you have to hand in. I like to have that right up there. That's why I'm doing it this way. So your typed narrative paragraph is due at the start of class, okay? And this time, remember that there were a number of people who didn't get a grade on the last paper. They did the paper, but they didn't hand in all of the backup stuff. So be sure that you're looking at all these various checklists I give you. It's on here, it's on the assignment sheet, it's on the web, it's on several places that says what you have to attach to get a grade on this, okay? But before we do that, before we go to the peer review, okay, we need to do another grammar lesson. We have grammar lessons every Thursday. So we're going to do that first, and as I said, the grammar lessons are different from the English Center. The English Center, went off on its own little plan this time. So I am not making an attempt to follow their pattern, which is, because they have you doing, okay, they're doing topic sentences, support, so they're kind of working along with our paragraphs, which helps. But I need to start, as we saw with the standard English, I need to start you guys on what do my little green marks mean right away. So that's why we are doing actual grammar working here. The way that's going to work, if you look through the syllabus at all, the way I do this is we have 3 grammar lessons. So what are the grammar lessons we've had so far? What was our first grammar lesson?
Descriptions? With the description paragraph?
No, grammar lessons. What was the first grammar quiz you took?
Standard English.
Standard English, and then what was the next one? Spelling. Yeah, spelling. You can look in your binders, you can look at like Lydia and Standard English on your YouTube, okay? So if you notice there, we have Standard English, and the reason you need to remember these is because, and this time we're going to do subject-verb agreement. That's today's. Then next week for our grammar quiz, we have a review of all 3 of these. That's one of the reasons you need to know about them, okay? So your quiz next week will briefly review all those things, and then you'll have to do more questions on them, okay? So, and then same thing, then we'll have another 3, and then a review, and then another 3, and then a review, okay? So for those reviews, when those come up, you can use your graded quizzes, you can use any notes that you took. So I hope that people have paper and pencils out, pens out to take notes. Okay, Andrew, if you're on your cell phone, I'm going to pick it up. Are you using a cell phone? No? Okay, you're just looking at your hands, okay? That's what, there's this horrible joke that says, there's this joke, and some of the teachers have it up on the wall, which I find a little bit offensive, but it says, why would anybody else be staring at their crotch if they're not looking at a cell phone? That's how teachers can usually tell. So, okay. So for this grammar lesson then, grammar 3, okay, we're going to talk about subject-verb agreement. Has anybody ever heard of that? Has anybody ever heard that phrase?
Yeah.
Subject-verb agreement? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm going to do up here for each of these grammar lessons is I'm going to pretty much write a rule up here. Because we have to kind of focus. Why are we having this grammar lesson? What is it we're supposed to be learning here? The rules for these 2 days are, because I didn't really write a rule up here for those first ones. The first one was use, although you could probably figure it out, use standard edited American English in, at least this really has to be counted, in academic writing. Okay, so that was our first grammar lesson, right? That was the first rule that I presented. The second one, again, I didn't really need to write it up here like this, but we'll write it up here for the sake of my list. Okay, so those two rules, pretty much, I didn't need to spell them out for you, okay? But that's what they were for these two lessons. Okay, this next one is, what you're going to see it and you're going to say, well, yeah, that's fine, but what does that mean? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. So the rule for today is this. Oh, I can't write it. Okay, so use standard edited American English in all academic writing, okay? I would strongly suggest people are taking notes on this because this may be a test later on. If you're not gonna have notes, you're not gonna have anything to look at when a test is presented to you. This is, again, these are, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but this is college. This is what college is about. If a teacher is presenting something on the board, you need to be writing it down. That's pretty much the first rule of the road with note-taking. Because then a quiz comes along and you don't have notes, you're not going to pass. Okay, Jacob, that makes sense? You're willing to take that chance?
Somebody get it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my stuff.
Okay. All right, I'll wait till everybody has their notes out so we can go on. Okay, this is serious. You know, this is not a joke. If you're going to treat this as a joke, I don't want you here.
Who's treating it as a joke? I know
You are.
I'm treating this as a joke. First off, hold up. No,
Okay,
I'm not.
we're 10 minutes into the lecture, you're just now getting your notes out.
I'm grown. I'm 24 years old. I'm about to be 25. Trust me, I'm grown. I handle my business.
Okay, I hope
I'm not a
so.
kid. I'm not out of high school.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not from here.
All right, so what does this mean? All verbs, these two are easy, right? These two things are easy, we know these. But what does this mean? This is teacher speak, right? You're thinking, well, fine, she can write that up there and I can copy it down, but it doesn't help me because I don't know what it means, okay? Has anyone ever heard this before? All verbs must agree with their subjects in person and number.
No.
Anybody ever heard that before? Okay, so we gotta
No,
figure
it's
out, before I can say to you, you have to follow this rule, you gotta know what it means, right? So that's what we're gonna do, is talk about what this means. Okay, Sandra, what are you saying?
Yeah, I've heard part of it, but I don't understand the part that says in person and numbers.
Okay,
I don't get
that's
that.
what always throws people, is you're thinking, how did numbers get into an English class? This isn't a math class, why are we talking about number? Okay, so let's take this step by step, okay? We looked at this, and it's interesting that these kind of go together. These grammar rules all kind of flow together. Remember when we looked at this sentence, I think it was this sentence, I'll make this bigger in a minute. I'll just type it here. This sentence doesn't matter. So remember, we looked at this the other day when we were talking about this, right? And we had all those sentences in that quiz that said she don't and you don't. And I had this kind of stuff on the standard English quiz. But remember what happened when we, and again, I'm sorry I can't make this larger. Remember what happened when we looked at this green underline and it says doesn't, which we all know is the right answer, right? I mean, we already know this answer. But then when we went and said about this sentence, see what it says up there at the top? It tells you what the grammar error is. And the grammar error for this is actually subject-verb agreement. It's not saying it's a non-standard error. It's telling you it's subject-verb. So in a sense it is, because we know it's a dialect thing, but Microsoft Word says subject-verb agreement. Same thing, if you can read that, it says the verb of a sentence must agree with the subject in number and in person. Okay, so what's going on here is when you fix this to doesn't, well, I don't bother to type it out, I'm just going to do this. Okay, what you are doing, and this is the word that always throws students, what you are doing is reconjugating that verb. Okay? So in a sense, and in English, we don't usually have to think about this, but this is what you're doing. Okay, what does that mean? Does anyone know what that means? When I say you're, without thinking about it, you're reconjugating that verb. It's important to know this so we understand what this means. Has anybody ever had to conjugate a verb? What about, has anyone taken another language like Spanish or French? Have you ever had to conjugate a verb in Spanish? You probably have, but you don't know what I'm asking, right? Especially with native English speakers, this is always like, what is she talking about? Okay, I'm going to draw a little chart up here, and this is going to explain it. Okay. This is what I call the pronoun chart. And as I do this, you're going to say, oh yeah, I know what she's talking about. Okay. And in English, we don't really have a different one here.